I can show you a picture of it, what it looks like.
Okay, hang on. Let me find you. There you are. All right, you're now co-host. Wait, it's slow. Well, I'm just going to switch to you. Okay, go ahead. It says you're becoming presenter. Now you should be presenter. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I try to be real quick with this because it can get pretty detailed and long. But some of the things, each state does activities and outreach different, and we try to stay at least on the same course. And this is just something I share with the Florida peoples, and I share it with y'all. And if there's any nuggets in there, anything you can use, you're welcome to it. And I can post this either as a PowerPoint or PDF, so you can modify it however you want. But we previously covered you know something's wrong when, but now we switch gears to you know something's right when you are the government. And we always reinforce that the whole Florida Assembly is structured and driven by committees, so that's bottoms up. And you know something's right when we are united and empowered. And I share that these links, there's pictures throughout this PowerPoint, and it just reinforces how the mindset. And we reviewed a congressional record where we see all the propaganda that's been promoted, who done it, and we have our Florida Assembly mission, and all states have that, and every committee should show where they are directly supporting the state assembly mission statement. So that's one of the things on the committee formation. And we talk about in the beginning, and part of all this is geared toward getting your own house in order. And Anna talked last Monday about Robin Caruso, but this is the way we show it. You're lost at sea, correct your status, come to the land of liberty. It's one way to look at it. And self-governance is not a theory. You have to live it. And you know something's right when we do our outreach. People know their status. They don't have a clue of what status they are occupying or operating in their daily lives. So we share that with them and let them just point your finger at where you are. So have kind of a picture. So which one am I? Just put your finger on it. And that's one of the things that triggers the next step into returning to the land and soil. And that's part of getting your house in order. Get back on the land and share with the people that there are 5 political statuses out there. And then we get into the, you know something's right when we know what a dual citizen is. So we know how to recognize them. So we can look at that, and if there's any questions, this is a good paper to refer to answer any questions about that. A big part of it is one of our goals is to preserve our freedom and the freedom of all future generations. We say America needs you. No one's going to restore America for you. You have free will. Use it. So it's your choice. And the choice is what we're experiencing now is we're being governed by these unelected, privately owned companies, agencies, foundations, along with their policies, or we're going to be the government our original founders brought forth. And in this call to action, there's a link there. So that's who done it. So we identified the corporations, the foundations, the public-private partnerships, named names, named the foundations. So we've got a list of who done it. So we're not worried about who done it anymore. We know something's right when we are actually participating in our lawful birthright inheritance. So what does that mean? So we have a whole presentation series about what is true sovereignty. How do you honor your birthright inheritance, and what is it? So we share that with people, and removing all these presumptions. Even tonight, we saw it on the SEAL, we saw it on the Peacekeeping Task Force. Already, the indoctrination and the propaganda, we see it really has effects right here where we should know the difference between what a municipality is, what a territory is, what an actual state is, where people populate. So removing all those presumptions, and you know something's right when the world in which we live is aligned with your true self. So it starts with you. And one of the taglines I put on my emails, if you're receiving this email, you are a modern day founder. And there's a presentation about what that looks like, what are empowered Americans, and learn these self-evident truths that aren't so self-evident anymore. You talk to the stranger on the street, ask them what are some of the self-evident truths that you can name. And returning to the land and soil, that's a huge milestone. It displays how each people are exercising their rights. But we've got to do it first things first. Placing that cart in front of the horse may not produce the results you intend. So, and we're seeing people having to go through so many things because they're not in line with how to self-govern. And self-governance begins with self. So I need to learn how to self-govern before I start going out here and dissolving any municipalities that are providing services for the state, and I don't even know what services the state needs. And I need to know how to self-govern before I go out there and remove the plates off my automobile or burn my driver's license that the state gave me. So we have a lot of rebels out there without a clue. And trying to prevent that because, yeah, they want to exercise their rights, but when you start doing that, they end up locked up and thrown in jail, the car impounded, and I'm like, well, what did you think was going to happen? We already sent letters to the Department of Motor Vehicle. They formed a committee, wrote back to us, and told us what we needed to do to change it. So they said, we don't care what you do. Right now, you're still going to get a ticket, still get thrown in jail, still going to get your car impounded. But, and then the final paragraph, until we hear it from higher authority. Said, okay, that's what we got to do. So we're working on that end. So having my own house in order, learning how to do that is going to build a strong foundation, develop confidence in our family, our private family affairs, and a peace of mind to move forward building a strong county and a strong state assembly. So what does getting your house in order look like? Well, it's a life plan that we hear a lot of people talk about, and some of the things to think about when we want to structure and preserve our assets and the inheritance of our sons and daughters and wives or husbands. And part of that is doing a will. How many have a will already? And questions, do I include end-of-life care in that will? Durable power of attorneys, limited power of attorneys, advanced medical directives, a health care surrogate. Do you have your baby deeds? A non-statutory trust. Do you need one? What is it? how many types of trust are out there? There's thousands of them. And for it to be a trust, don't have to have that word trust in that paper that you autograph. A lot of people are autographing things that are trust just because the word trust isn't in it. That don't mean it's not a trust. So you have to really learn how to read, and that's what we're doing every day. We're learning new words and how to distinguish between that foreign jurisdiction and ours. So another item would be designated pre-need guardians, asset protection. Do you have transfer on death? And they call them TODs. So if you have 401ks or other stocks or anything, is your family going to have to wait for a year before that asset can be distributed to them? But if you have your transfer on death on file with that company, it gets transferred immediately. So you have to, and just knowing and sharing with the family assets, debts, your accounts. Do they know your passwords? And declaration of age and majority. So actually there's hundreds and hundreds of checklists out there, and there's plenty of salespeople who are willing to take your money and help you develop your own life plan. So states use different terminology. They have different types of filing, so we have to learn those differences between what states do. And what is the best one? It's the one you're going to sit down and do. And that's why I tell them, you sit down this week, get that will done. Just do it. And start where you are. Determine what you really need. And my life plan is not going to look like anybody else's. Even though there are some basic templates, your plan is yours while you are living and after you pass onward. So we have experienced specific elements that could have assisted people when incarcerated, when they've been hospitalized, or undergoing a disaster or other life-changing events. And what we've seen, people don't plan to fail that way. They just fail to have a plan. And I'm, include myself, I'm one of those people too. So who is going to submit paperwork on my behalf if I'm incarcerated in the next 30 minutes? So, and that's where you have a limited power of attorney, to where someone on the assembly knows that, yeah, they can submit paperwork on my behalf if I'm incarcerated or hospitalized. They can come get me out. I worry about that too. And some of the just basic things, what I resist, that persists. So if you're not getting your house in order and working on these documents, paperwork, it's going to still stay hanging like that impending doom. It's like, well, if something happens to me, nobody's going to know where to find the title or find other insurance papers. And it's, a lot of it's just putting it into action, not into thinking, and getting out of my own way, removing all these self-defeating behaviors, unlock our own potential, the list goes on. There's thousands of books out there that talk about that. But how many are using those and putting them into action? So just start with one item today, and as we string them along together, we're going to develop an empowering foundation, knowing our house is in order. That way we can move forward with confidence, helping others. So after having a life plan in my private family life, what about the Assembly's plan? Have you thought about a life plan for the Assembly that you're in? So I just want to share, I don't know how much time you want me to go, Terry. I keep going. But this is pretty interesting. And we can see where we have an example. Anna has already, she's way out ahead of us and in front of so many things that we don't have a clue what's coming down the line. But luckily, she has stuck her foot in the door giving us some room to wiggle back in and reclaim our birthright inheritance. So Anna has a will to the American people. How many people have seen it? And one interesting thing is check the date on this will. When did you start assembling on your state? This is July 15th, 2014. So we didn't start assembling our state till 2019. That's like 5 years. She was already 5 years ahead of it. And she did the estate claim in lien. And it's been recorded. It was forwarded to Pope Francis. And it's probably the first one in history. And it comes from Anna Von Reitz and James Clinton Belcher of the Alaska State Superior Court. Consists of 3 parts, 4 separate files, which are all in a PDF format that you can look at. And here's some links to it. And if you don't have those on your computer and on your external hard drive, this is some very important historical information that is part of each one of our assemblies. And just looking at that, that's a great overview of what was already put in order to just set the stage up. And that's building the foundation. So and that's how we do our paperwork. That's a body of evidence to support our rights and our property and our labor. And if I got time, I keep going and show kind of an overview of the Florida Assembly Plan.
Keep going, Ralph.
Okay, this is a compilation of some of the items we use on Florida moving forward to complete the reconstruction. So when we go into any meeting, we always place principles before personality. So all these slides in this presentation, they all have links and all the images that expand on the information. Most of us as state coordinators, we don't need any background information, so I can move a lot faster. So we're all growing through these experiences. We're empowering each other to secure our birthright inheritance for all of the future generations. So we, as American State Nationals, we populate the land and soil, Florida. Now, U.S. citizens and those citizens of the United States, they inhabit and they reside on that state of Florida. So that's a huge difference, and that's where we talk about the jurisdictional differences. So the Reconstruction Act, which is what we're all working toward, it's really important to understand this is not some theory. It's not some conspiracy. It's not some movement. It's not some YouTuber out there or some TikToker. It's not one of these special interest groups that are scattered and distracted and trying to wave shiny objects in front of you to profiteer off of your misfortunes. No, it's actually the people securing freedom beginning in your house. And that's going to expand out into, once you're in your house, your confidence, just the appearance is just going to, people are going to notice. And it's going to expand out into your neighborhood, into your community, into your city, into your county, into your state, into all the other states. And it's going to just bloom throughout the whole world like a Mandela effect. And we're actually witnessing that today. So as we share and do outreach, we're creating so many sacred moments during the course of the day, and we're stringing them together. And it all begins when people decide to choose to exercise our free will. That's one of the gifts our Creator gave us, and use it. You have free will, why don't you use it? So another item would be, you know something's right when we have an emergency contact plan. So share your contact plan with the family. So share it with the friends. And it may not look like the contact plan that you give to the county organizer or in your assembly. So those may look different. And we never know when this disaster is going to strike or some other event that restricts our travel or being captured by these foreign agents. But just a contact card, knowing that someone has your back and will contact the people on the list if you're missing from the meetings. They lose contact with you and check in on you. That's all right thinking, and we're looking at that. And the buddy system when we go in the crowds, and just having that basic situational awareness, thinking ahead. So I even have an emergency contact card on the visor on the automobile. In case something happens, they right there. Oh, this is great. We know who to call. So another thing is what we've already talked about some tonight. You know something's right when we understand our government structure. So, and this is a really good pamphlet or paper, quick understanding of the government structure. It's been out there a while. And you know something's right when we are acting as the original lawful assembly. The first assembly our Creator made is the family. And we look at that, and that's why our power structure flow diagram places great importance on the people who are the administrating body of the government by this Florida body of people. And the people create government to secure our natural and unalienable rights, property, and labor. And so we have a paper about what does the four-pillar structure look like. And on this one here, the picture that's there talks about how we operate, different capacities we operate. Our private family affairs, and that's in our own house. When we go out on the street, go out in town, we're in public affairs. And if we participate in the government, we're in people's government affairs. So, and I do a compare and contrast between the quasi-government. Excuse me. And we know something's right when we unite with others. When our assembly is starting to grow and somebody brings one other people to the meeting, it just grows and it expands. And we share that information with other people and just share what is the Florida Assembly doing. We hear about y'all, but what are y'all actually doing? So we have getting connected so we can share that with them. How do you get connected with the county and other assemblies? Get on a committee. What does that look like? So one thing we do in all the emails that goes out, you know something's right when we welcome others. So we have a welcome letter that's from the state coordinator. And it's basically thanking them for contacting the Florida Assembly and letting them know that as we communicate with each other about reseating our jural and state assemblies and move towards American common law living, we move together and share our experience, our strength, our hope, our skills, ability, time, and talents to finish the work of reconstruction. And it's probably about 5 pages long, but it provides them enough foundational information, try to get them motivated and want to do something. It's like now we have a solution, and a lot of people are so just disgruntled and disappointed and depressed that because from their experience there is no solution, but we have one, and we share that with others, and we share our experiences with others, and that brings hope, and that's so important. And it just livens people up. And we do that by having meetings. We have 67 counties on Florida, 22 million people, and we're growing every day. So you know something's right when we realize that we are not just the chosen few. each one of us in our assemblies are the few that have chosen. And just like the Florida Assembly is structured and driven by committees, we have a diagram for that. The Florida County Assemblies are also structured and driven by committees. So there's different jurisdictional boundaries between the Florida Assembly and the Florida County Assembly. So we cover that, and I've always struggled with trying to explain that. And when I was reviewing the handbook, Anna wrote that one email, and I'm like, oh, she must have heard me. Because when we send questions out to the universe, Anna usually responds, and I get an answer in an article or email or something. It's really amazing how that works. So also, something's right when our 4 pillars are populated. So there's still just one answer. That's an awesome article. And we hear stories, horror stories all the time. And I don't want to be sarcastic when I tell people, it's like, there's still just one answer. Why are you, we know what we got to do. What's the problem here? So something's right when we have our own courts operating. And that's what there's still just one answer is all about. So we have checklists and a lot of resources in a county General Assembly field guide for the Florida Assembly. So 8 steps, knock them out, get your court up, boom. So something's right when we know it's not happening to me like a victim. It's happening for me to empower me and strengthen our bond with all the other Americans. So if you're proud to be an American, why don't you become one? And that's I use that line a lot, especially when I see somebody out there waving the flag, wearing the U.S. flag shirt, and got the Trump flag on their truck. I'm like, God, it seems like you're really proud to be an American. He said, yeah, by God, I am. I said, well, why don't you become one? It's almost fighting words. But then I said, well, let me explain. So are you one of the we the people, American state nationals, self-governed, or one of their people, a U.S. citizen sitting around here? Are you taxed? You're getting vaxxed and masked and governed by these foreign corporate governmental service providers. And just let them know and share, hey, there's a simple way to get back on the land and soil. And you're lost at sea now, and we were lost at sea. And there's a life ring being tossed before you. So grab hold of it and come on home. And that means to declare your birthright political status as an American and come on to the land and soil and be one of the people. So you also know something's right when we know we're being constructive, not destructive. And that's huge. And I always try to go over the mindset on in all the training and everything, because it begins with you, inside you. And we just recently did the Florida Assembly Course of Conduct. We only had one rule, and that's because, and that lasted for almost 4 years with just one rule, and that was we're all fruit inspectors. And when you're pointing at somebody else's fruit, you better look at those other 3 fingers pointing right back at you. So we did this because we're moving forward and we're growing so much. So we just needed to have an outline, put some guardrails up. And the Florida Assembly Course of Conduct, that's just so we stay in between the guardrails. Don't be going in the other lane and stuff. And if you do have a problem, we have some incident complaint reporting items, what you can use to report a violation or concern regarding the Florida Assembly Course of Conduct and or good standing. So we're moving into what we call level up launch. And this is where we're shifting gears, because most of the states are in that position to where we have small group of people, some are large groups of people, and it's time to really shift gears and level up and start actually acting and filling those positions as a real lawful, the Florida Assembly. So on this, I go ahead and click on this one and just review what our level up launch plan is looking like. So I did, it's our strategy moving forward, completing the reconstruction. And I talk about you are the government. Your government is supposed to be staffed by you. This is right on Anna's website. I don't need to read the whole thing because most of you read it all the time when you go to TASA. So, and we know that it's not our government that's up there putting all these code, statute, regulations, and trespassing on our land and soil. Those are just privately owned foreign corporations providing governmental services. So I go through that, and that's almost verbatim off of what's on the TASA website. So when you come to the land and soil, you start breathing a free man or free woman again. You'll remember the American dream, and you no longer bear the burdens of that federal citizenship. And that's put a link right to it where people can look at it and read it over and over, cut it out, post it on the refrigerator, put it on the mirror. So the level up launch, as we begin to shift gears and get a little bit more structured, tightened up, and start filling these positions, we always keep that Florida Assembly mission statement and we focus on it. And then we move into a Florida maximum, and that's just a basic saying. The Florida Assembly, we are honorable, we're peaceful, productive, and lawful. An assembly that's safely guided, committed to restoring the lawful government, enforcing public law, and upholding the constitutional guarantees owed to Florida and Floridians. So and I just reinforce it with the 4 pillars. I put that in there a lot. I use it a lot. And as another reminder, we are structured and driven by committees, bottoms up. And as we grow and unite our assembly, it's going to grow with the people. And as we live our version of our best self and follow the passion of our hearts, the truth will surface as a guiding light. When the light is present, the darkness fades away. So you know something's right when. So we're strong as our weakest link. We celebrate and we learn together, strengthening the bonds between us, the liars, all these evil actors that are out there, deceivers. That seems like the majority, and we seem like the minority. But when we start doing our outreach, boots on the ground, and talking to people, these people out there, they are really awesome people. And most of them are good. There are some bad actors out there, but not like we think, because that's what all you see on the news and the YouTubers shouting about and the TikTokers. That's all they're shouting. And that's what even the propaganda media talks about. Blood sells. It's like, well, the truth seekers, we're going to be shunned and we're going to be persecuted because not many do not want to hear the truth. But that truth is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training, so all will be equipped for the very good work that we're trying to accomplish. So, and that looks like sitting in a jury box. And that's where we're going to rightly divide the word of truth. So we hold the successful blueprint, and we look at everyone is important. We want us all to be successful, and we want all of us to be on the winning team. So as times come and we're leveling up again, and we're moving towards completing the reconstruction, the strategic plan outlined to accomplish this. Moving forward is brought forward for discussion, modification, clarity, and other elements that are going to support a successful outcome. So all of us come to the assembly. We came here to build a different world, and that requires going about things in new ways. And part of that's a new mindset. So we're going to modify the Q&A session that's usually held prior to our meeting. So we're going to move it to open General Assembly agenda format. That's the way we do it now. All of our General Assembly meetings are open meetings. We've had law enforcement in them, city council, we have other countries attend our meetings. But that'll still give them the opportunity, but that's going to be like the pre-meeting before the actual real meeting. So it's still going to be there, and what we're going to do, level up the Q&A session to do having a quick, powerful educational training series for all the new members and guests. And we'll be covering the basic things that we normally cover in other meetings. So it just reinforcing our mission, our purpose, making sure everybody's paperwork looks good, and the people that are ready to come to the land and soil, how do they get connected, connecting people, have education and presentations about, pick one of Anna's books, one of your favorite books, do a presentation on it. And of course, conduct, getting connected. So we're going to move the open General Assembly to a closed American State National, American State Citizen Assembly. And doing that transition on the same free conference call channel is going to be a challenge. So we'll be using the honor system some, and verify people that are remaining in the meeting, because one way we're going to do that is have the roll call quorum established. And we use a 67 county dashboard. So what counties are present and how many people on that county are present. So we're going to have state officials reports, county status reports, committee reports, a 4-pillar status, court training, tools for growth without being too corporate. I've been indoctrinated in the corporate world, have Six Sigma black belt, and all the project management and all the flavors of the month, certifications, all that stuff. So I'm trying to get that out of my head, and they still remind me when I get too far in the weeds. But there are some effective tools that were developed by genuine, caring people to help family businesses become more efficient. So we'll take what we can use that's already been accomplished so we don't have to reinvent it. And we can gain from that experience, select tools that align with the original intent of the only lawful government on the land and soil. And then some things we're going to do to accelerate the learning, look at the organizer handbook, vetting handbooks, recording handbooks, court field guides, militia handbooks, the banking team, ombuds, public notary handbooks, seals and logos and branding and public relations, committee structures, and develop other handbooks and resources as we move along. And some of the opportunities, we list a lot of opportunities, things that we can work on. As more and more people want to participate, we want to have something that, a task. So if you want to participate, does any of these resonate with you? You feel like it's something you're interested in? So just having different packages in order and getting my house in order. We're trying to identify some people. There's a lot of professionals out there, but find a group that maybe they did that in the corporate world, but now they've retired, and it's like, God, we could really use your help to help us get our wheels and do all these things. And And so we're actively looking for someone to help us get our houses in order. Trustee notices, been working on that, organizational chart. And then I give people something to review prior to our level up. So we've been showing presentation of what went wrong. We've identified the evil actors. And currently we've worked on the mindset to move forward, completing the reconstruction. And share and review some of the key points and presentations and other past presentations. I looked on the pre-conference call. We have over 10,000 hours of conference calls on the pre-conference call history. So there's quite a few minutes we've contributed. So Level Up, we got a recording for that. You can click on that, see the recording. Seeking Truth, that was a series we did about whodunit, part of the Pilgrim Society and other files. True Sovereignty, honoring our birthright. Our reconstruction, what does it look like? Call to Action, that's where we identified these evil actors. And we had American State Nationals presentation, and we also have the educational page. So that's just one thing that we're putting together as we prepare to level up. And the Organizer Handbook, this is a lot to go through, and we're still working on it and trying to complete it so we can move forward and do some other things. So, and this is not only an Organizer Handbook for organizers. It's kind of like the Coordinator Handbook that's on the TASA site. That's for everybody. Everybody should know what the coordinator is supposed to do. And this is like the Organizer Handbook. This is what, for everybody to learn that. And we have a table of contents, introduction. What is the purpose of the county organizer? Some states call them county coordinators, but we call them organizers. And four-pillar structure, what is an assembly? Break that down. Our structure at the Florida Assembly, the county assembly structure, our course of conduct, vetting, nomination, outreach plan, landing page for all the counties on the Florida Assembly website. What is our seal policy and procedures? And that's totally different from the logo policy and procedures. The logo would be in the branding policy and procedures, our PowerPoint templates. And what is the difference between counties and state assembly? What items should the Florida Assembly Secretary maintain on file? And what are some of the things to think about when you're developing your county seals and electing officials? Treasurer, what are some of the duties that treasurer, each of the four pillars may have a treasurer. We're going to have treasurers all over the place. And the county court field guide, that is critical. And emergency contact list of organizers. So we just go through it, and it's kind of like just an overall guidebook as we develop and grow, so everybody knows what course we're on. We're just, as state coordinators, we're just laying the tracks because, and putting some guide rails up so that the cars that go on the track's going to go on course. As long as the cars are up there with wheels on it and it can roll down the track, it's going to go on the course. So we're laying the tracks, that's the course we're on. But it's up to the people to build the cars, populate the cars, decorate them, put anything they want in it, and it's because it's the people's assembly. It's not the coordinator's assembly. So, and that's what we do. We just lay the tracks down and give them a frame, and it's up to them to build the house. So we talk about what does that look like? What does a county organizer do? They're not the one in charge. The people are in charge. So, and it, as a county organizer is really a delicate balance while you're populating the state and county in tandem and fully supporting the state assembly to move forward completing the reconstruction. So we need to know where those guardrails are. How are we going to operate that? So I just go through this real quick, and we talk about the power flow, 4 pillars, and everybody knows what the 4 pillars are, so we break it out, kind of clarify a lot of things, what that looks like, what each of the 4 pillars are doing, and we always reference that court field guide. And what if you're challenged? Some de facto guy or somebody comes in one of your meetings at the county, what do you tell them? And same thing I tell the city council and other de facto people. And that came from Anna, and that is a really good statement where it talks about what happened. That's why we're populating, because nobody else is. How can you have a free and independent sovereign state without any sovereigns? That's what I hit most of them with. And they're like, what do you mean? It's like, you're a U.S. citizen, right? Okay. And they're citizens of the United States over here working for the municipality. Where are the sovereigns? How can you have a free and independent sovereign state if there's no sovereigns on this state? I said, we're the sovereigns. So just kind of bring that home to them. So we have a kind of a structure and different types of oversight committees. And these are minimum positions. As we grow, it's going to be hundreds of people in each of the 4 pillars. And we have county progress reports, different guides and things for people to use. What is a progress report for the county? Committee team, how do you set up your committee? What does it look like? And what's the purpose of the committee? What's the mission? What specific element in our mission statement is that committee supporting? And then we have county committee structures. So, and a template for that. And course of conduct. So the course of conduct has quite a few elements in it. We talk about incident complaint reporting, ombuds committee, agent provocateurs, a lot of discussion about dual citizens, and you know something's right when. It's a different presentation. Duties of the vetting committee, Parcentex, Anna's covered. Outreach plan, we have an outreach plan. And the people on the counties can take the outreach plan and complete the parts in it that are specifically related to their county. And train-the-trainer presentation, we go through it. And things to consider for presentation prep. You're having your first meeting. What are some things I need to think about? Sharing with new people, quick start guide. That quick start guide is like one of the first things people get. And it's full of information and sharing with new people, and it's links how to get connected with your county, your reporters, how to get on meetings, and how to do the basic 1-page or 2 witness testimonies, copy of your birth certificate, and a copy of the letter. How do you get Anna's Monday night transcript, new members class, landing pages, a seal policy and procedures, branding policy procedures, difference between the county and the state assemblies, items that the secretary needs, treasurer, responsibilities of treasurers, what does that look like? Court field guide, very important. Part of what we're doing, reconstructing our state's estates, and what does that mean? And here's a bunch of links. If you don't know what reconstructing or your state estate looks like. Check those out. Resources. And E-Verify. You got somebody on your county says they're papered up. Just check them out in front of them. Show them. This is what I'm showing on you. I don't mind pulling that up during the meeting and looking up somebody that's in the meeting and say, okay, here you are. I pulled up one. I just said, well, all I know is their first name. So I pulled up Ralph. There's about 6 different Ralphs. I said, well, there's only one on Florida, so that's probably that character. So, and then we have first instruction letter. Doing research. People don't know how to research, and we're learning. What does of mean? God, so many little word salad. And Freedom of Information Act. Probably somebody's already done one. So there's thousands and 90,000 public requests just in this Freedom of Information that Muckrock has out there. And you can just type in anything and probably find something. Emergency contact list for all the organizers. And that's something that each county and the state needs to have on hand. It's like a central contact listing, so if somebody goes missing or something, you know, you can call. They put on the list who you can call. Most time it's somebody out of state or somebody in another town. Because we've had assembly members say, I haven't seen them in a while. And then the next thing, I'm starting to check court records. Oh, they've been in jail for 30 days. And nobody knew it. And so emergency contact list for organizers and county contact list, all the people on your county, email opt-in. Make sure you got current email updates. And have a photo of the organizers. If I'm missing one, here's my picture right here. Or you can look on the E-Verify, get a picture of somebody. This is who we're looking for. And you have your emergency contact card. I know that's quite a bit to go through at a coordinator meeting. But I yield. And
Ralph, oh, fantastic. Thank you. One other